have been working through the book of Job from the Hebrew, especially chapter 38, where God is answering Job. And we've looked at the first part of 38. I'm looking at the Hebrew and then doing grammar with comments. We have seen how God asked Job, "Where were you? Do you understand about creation, Job? Have you controlled the primeval waters? And do you understand the morning and who ordained it?" And I worked through to the point of verse 16. And so I'm going to pick it up there, read the Hebrew, do a bit of grammar, and with comments. Havata ad nivche yam. Have you entered into the springs of the sea? It is interesting that basically God is asking Job, have you entered the springs of the sea, which would be the deep underneath the waters in the abyss beneath the earth? Have you entered into them? Or uvecheker tahom hithalakta? Or have you walked back and forth in the that part which is unsearchable, in the unsearchable, or we could say recesses, unsearchable recesses of the Tehom? The Tehom is the deep. We could translate it deep, or looking at the world ocean, so to speak, the great deep. Have you done that? It is interesting. Just a word about grammar. We have the hey introducing a question. Vata is the cow perfect second masculine singular from Bo. And then unto the springs of the sea. And then have you walked in the heker, the recesses of the deep? Notice hit halakta is the hit pael, perfect second masculine singular from halak. As we think of this particular question, Job is asked, and this goes down to verse 18, if he has entered into the depths of the sea and the earth. Have you penetrated, in verse 16, God is saying, into the springs of the sea? This, I believe, would have poetic reference to the channels beneath the sea, which connected the sea to the great abyss of water, referred to as existing underneath the earth. He's speaking poetically here, I believe. It was the great abyss of water under the earth that was pictorially or figuratively spoken of as supplying water for the seas. This abyss would also be the recesses of the deep. Job had never been there, is the implication of God's question. Then we move to verse verse 17. Haniglu lecha sha'arei mavet v'sha'arei salmavet tireh. Have you entered into the gates, or has the gates of death been revealed to you? Or have you seen the gates of the shadow of death, or of the deep darkness? And I think we're looking here again at the gates of the underworld. And have they been revealed to you? Notice following the ha and asking the question, we have niglu from gala, to reveal. It's a nifal, perfect, a third common plural from gala. So have the gates of death been revealed to you? or the gates of Salmavet, the deep darkness. Have you seen? Notice here, Tereh is from Ra'ah, a cow imperfect, second masculine singular from Ra'ah. Again, one of the interesting possible references here that would help us to understand this idea would be the descent of Ishtar into the underworld. I've been translating that text in Akkadian, where we see Ishtar going into the gates of the underworld and how they were dusty and being opened up to meet with her sister Ereshkigal. And there could be an allusion to that type of thought here. God then continues his questioning of Job by asking him if the gates of death or Sheol have been revealed to him. Again, Sheol represents the underworld of the dead, which is located under the earth. It is viewed in the Hebrew scriptures as a realm of thick darkness where the weak, shadowy personalities of the dead dwell. The gates are symbolic then of the entrances of the entranceway into Sheol. Job has never traversed this realm, is the thought here of the question of the Lord. Then as we move to verse 18, Hit bonanta ad ra'ave aretz. Have you surveyed, or have you come to understand? Do you understand the depths of the earth? Haged im yadata kula. That is, declare if you know all of it. Notice here, hit bonanta is from the middle weak verb being. It's a hit polal, a perfect second masculine singular from being, unto the depths of, or the breadths of the earth. Tell me, haged et yadata hula. Tell me if you know. Notice haged is again a pay noon verb, not God, and the noon has assimilated into the gimel by progressive assimilation. Han Gade became not God. And here we have an imperative, a hifil imperative, masculine singular from Nagad. So tell me if you know. Yadata, the cow perfect, second masculine singular from Yada. So again, he's asking the question, have you surveyed the breadth of the earth and its breadth? If Job has not descended into the realm of the underworld, he has not surveyed the breadth of the earth as well. That is something which, again, only God has done. So these series of questions is causing Job to reflect upon his attitude in trying to understand. Then we move on to verses 19 to 38. God now discusses the great wonders of heaven. And so in verse 19, it reads, Eze haderek yishkon ur v'choshek eze mekomo. Which is the way where light dwells, or where light lives, which is the way for the dwelling of light. The choshek eze mekomo. And as for darkness, where is its place? In other words, where does the light live? And where does the darkness live? Notice yishkon, the verb is from shakan, to dwell, cow imperfect, third masculine singular from shakan. And so as we look at verse 19 then, the rhetorical questions continue, which Job then must answer in the negative, light. Job is asked to locate the place where both light and darkness dwell. Where are their houses? Seems to be the thought. Light and darkness are here then personified as having their own homes or dwelling places. So, where does light dwell? This is the question that God is asking Job. And where does darkness dwell? After light comes out and disperses throughout the world, where does it go back to? Where's its home? And the same with the darkness of night. Can you track the paths? And he's speaking poetically here back to their houses where they live. And then he goes on in verse 20, Ki tikachenu el gevulo, that you should take it unto its boundary, unto its border. V'chi tavin netivot beto, and that you should know the paths to the house of it, or to its house. Speaking again of the light and of the darkness. Notice ki tikachena is from lakach, to take, that you should take. Notice we have a cow imperfect, second masculine singular, with the you should take it, and we have en who becoming en nu here, where the hey of the third masculine singular pronominal suffix has, by reverse assimilation, gone back into the noon. That's why we have the doggish there, that you should take it unto its boundary, and that you should know or understand the paths to its house. The paths, we could say, to its house. Notice here, tavin is from bean, cow imperfect, second masculine singular. And netivot is a feminine plural, the paths of its house. So what the Lord again is driving home, is Job so wise that he can understand the paths back to the houses of light and darkness to which each returns after their daily journey to carry out their separate functions toward the earth. And so again, we're sort of elaborating here on what has been said in verse 19. Then we come on to 21. And let me just read the biting sarcasm of God in 21. Yadata kiaz tivaled. You know, for you were born then. In other words, you know, for then you were born. Notice the irony here. Umispar yamecha rabim, and the number of your days are many. This is biting sarcasm. You must know, since you were born when light was created, is the thought here. Notice yadata is the cow perfect second masculine singular from yada. Ki then tivaled, you were born from yalad, to bear. Notice here we have a nifal imperfect second masculine singular from yalad, which historically was valad, and the IA vowel pattern thematically gives it away as a nifal imperfect second masculine singular. So you know, for then you were born, and the number of your days is great, or many. This is a very biting satire at this point in the reading, irony and sarcasm. Notice it says, with biting irony and sarcasm, then God rebukes Job. Of course, God says, you know the sources of light and darkness, for you were born back at the beginning when I created them, and your days are enduring. Your days are eternal, so you should know that. Irony again. And from this point on, I'm going to stop here. But Job will then be asked about the treasuries of snow and hail, which God has formed. I was thinking of the thought here that we've been looking at of light and darkness. And my mind goes to Genesis 1, where God said, Yehi or vayehi or, and let there be light. And there was light. And in the midst of the darkness. And when I look at New Testament parallel or New Testament relationship in John 1, beautiful prologue, where we have the statement, in him was life, and that life was the light for humankind. Speaking of the Logos of Christ, who is the light of the world. We have that constantly emphasized in John 8, I am the light of the world. And when we talk about the dwelling place of that light, it's in eternity, because in John 1, we are told, En arche ein halagas, kai halagas ein plas tantaan, kai theas ein halagas. In the beginning was the Word, speaking of Christ, and the Word was face to face with God, and the Word was God. So the place of light in Johannine writing is Jesus Christ, who was eternally, in New Testament application, face to face with the Father, and brought that light into the world and life for those who come to know that light and to let it shine in their hearts. Thank you for this time with you.